To my dear friend who lives in the world beside ours, I am writing tonight with the screen glow on my face and the city dreaming behind my window. I will skip explanations and come straight into the pulse of my night because that is how we speak here. Every morning our dreams are saved like letters in a public mailbox, and most people can read them with a tap. We call the stream DreamNet, and it is as normal to us as the weather. Some keep parts private, and some share almost everything, and the rest of us live with the shape of those choices. I know that sounds bold to you, yet to me it feels like waking up to a mirror that shows more than a face. Let me tell you how this changes us in ways both gentle and sharp. Think about the first minute after waking when a feeling is fresh and clear. In my world, that minute leaves a trail that anyone can follow if you allow it. Lovers follow it because they hope to learn how to care for each other better. Judges follow it because they want to avoid unfair guesses about a mind. Artists follow it because it is a treasure of images and music we did not plan. Employers follow it sometimes because they fear risk more than they love growth. Friends follow it to laugh or to help, or sometimes to compete without meaning to. I defend people in court, and I follow it to argue for mercy, with facts that still have warmth on them. My work began with one case that I still carry like a stone in my pocket. A young machinist had a recurring dream of a fire in the factory where he worked. The dream showed exits blocked by crates and a clock that never moved. He reported the dream to the safety board in our city because people here do that now. Weeks later, a small fire started on a rainy afternoon, and everyone got out, and no one died. After the fire managers tried to blame the machinist because they claimed his dream caused panic. I argued the opposite, and I said the dream was a warning given by the body to the body. The court agreed that a dream is not an act, and that fear voiced in sleep is not harm. That simple sentence has shaped many lives since that day. We call it the involuntary imagination idea, and it keeps people from punishing each other for what a night shows. Still, the line is not simple every time, and I want you to feel the knots too. There was a singer who used sounds from public dreams to build an album that made the whole coast hum. She paid small fees to thousands of strangers for their lines and tones and ocean moods. People danced to their own sleep without knowing exactly where their piece sat in the song. When the tour ended, a man found a chorus that matched a nightmare he had shared during a rough year. He said the song reopened a wound, and he wanted it taken down. The singer met him in a studio with the daylight off, and they spoke in quiet voices. She offered to rewrite the bridge and leave the motif as a shadow rather than a spotlight. He listened and said that would be enough, because what he wanted most was a sense that someone heard him. I learned from that meeting that repair is often better than erasure when art meets pain. Now, our licensing sites include a button called Amend, in addition to Allow and Deny. The button does not solve everything, but it slows people down long enough to make a humane choice. Other changes are less kind, and I will not pretend otherwise. Teenagers sometimes compete to have the most watched dream of the week, and that can turn cruel. A quiet girl who loved birds once filmed a day video teaching how to sleep with a gentle heart. The next week, boys at her school shared a nightmare where her birds fell like snow in a gym. They did not plan the nightmare, but they clipped it and set it to a beat and laughed. The girl stayed home for 3 days, and her father wrote a letter that made me cry in the subway. Our city passed a small rule after that, which treats malicious remix of a miner's dream as a kind of stalking. I do not know if that rule would work where you live, but it helped here. My own nights are not always soft either, and I will tell you one to be fair. I carry a shame dream where my younger brother walks along a canal and calls my name, and I do not answer. The dream ends with shoes on the bank and the sound of a bicycle bell fading. When it first became public, I felt my stomach drop each morning because people could see it trending. I worried they would think I was a coward in daytime too. A stranger left a note that said, "I also had a canal dream after my sister left home, and you are not alone." That note turned the color of my morning from iron to something like tea, and I breathed again. Maybe that is the best part of our world when it is kind. You discover that your private fear is common enough to hold. The worst part is the theater of virtue that rises around it. Some people optimize their sleep to produce spotless dream reels that look like holiday ads. They buy cooling mats and meal plans, and they train their cycles to show calm meadows and shy deer. It wins likes, and it wins brand deals, and it wins respect from people who should know better. But when you meet them in a real room, the conversation goes flat as a plate. I try not to judge, and yet I feel a tug of sadness because their nights have become a stage rather than a refuge. Lovers are the bravest in all of this. On the second date, people often share a week of dreams and sit together on a couch with tea. They ask small questions, and they try to be generous and curious and patient. A woman might say, "I saw you crossing a bridge with a heavy bag, and you kept walking even when the rail shook." A man might say, "I saw you forget your passport," and then laugh and keep going at the airport. These are the soft proofs we trade in place of long speeches about values. But there are hard moments too, and I will not skip them. A friend of mine dated a chef who had a recurring dream of leaving dinner halfway through. It was never angry, and it was never cruel, and yet it kept happening. My friend began to brace for abandonment at every real dinner, and it poisoned the soup. One night she left a note on DreamNet for herself and for anyone who needed it. The note read, "A dream can be a rehearsal or a release, and you must ask which it is before you attach meaning." The next week, the chef wrote a new note that said, "I am learning to stay." They are still together, and they still laugh about how they almost became a proverb. Workplaces have changed in ways I did not expect when I was a student. Some teams ask for opt-in access to your last 30 nights before a promotion. They call it wellness, but it often masks fear. I advise young clients to share only with a circle they trust and to document boundaries in writing. Consent that is not written becomes a rumor, and a rumor is a wind that never ends. A union I partner with negotiated a clause called sleep equity. It means shifts are set to protect time for deep rest, not only hours on a clock. The policy improved product design more than any brainstorming retreat we ever tried. People sleep, and then they bring back ideas like shells from a shore we all forgot to visit. The city holds dream concerts 3 times a year, and the square fills with headphones and blankets. Visual artists take public streams and knit them into silent films that play on brick walls. Children point at the shapes and shout the names of animals as if the images were fireworks. A widow once told me the only time she hears her husband now is when his old dreams get replayed in those shows. She said the pain is sharp, but the voice is true, and the truth helps. Faith communities tell their own stories too, and that can be tender and tense at once. Some see shared dreams as messages, and some see them as patterns without a sender. A choir near my building sings music based on night phrases that members donate each week. When they sing, I do not care about theory because the hall feels like a hand on your back. Still, I watch the edges because edges cut. There are groups who fight the stream with noise and magnets and old tin shields. They hold sleepovers in warehouses where capture fails, and the nights go blank. I visited once and woke to a morning with no trace of what I felt. I thought the silence would be calm, but it felt like a missing tooth. That day I understood that the record is not only about control, but about memory and mercy. Memory helps us forgive our past selves because we can see the path of a fear, not just its last shout. Mercy grows when you can see how common a shame is. People in my city sometimes apologize in public for real harm and include a clip of a dream that shows the route. The clip does not excuse the act, but it opens a door in the wall of anger. We also have hard limits, and I help guard them like a night watch. My latest case was a test of whether nightmares can stand as proof of intent in a violent crime. The state wanted to use weeks of the accused man's dreams as a map of a plan. I stood and said a map of fear is not a route, and a route is not a march. I added that a nightmare can be a flare thrown by the mind to scare off a bad path. The judge listened and asked me to offer a standard that could survive more than one season. I proposed that dreams be admissible only to shed light on state of distress and only when matched with waking deeds. I called it the context rule, and the court wrote it down in quiet ink. The verdict said the nightmare could not speak to intent by itself. After the verdict, the victim's family and my client's family stood near the steps and did not look at each other. A pastor held the door while we all passed, and I felt tired in my bones. Justice in my world is still a walk, not a destination, and I think it is the same in yours. Markets formed because markets grow wherever people gather and share. We sell dream filters that shape your feed into colors and moods. We license motifs to ad agencies and movie studios and game makers. We buy insurance in case a public dream harms our reputation, and that policy costs less if we take a class on consent. A municipal program pays citizens to donate a set of open dreams to a commons for art and research. The payout is not big, but the pride is. People stand on the museum steps to read the names of donors like they are reading a roll call. I keep 2 cronies with me to question my own comfort because comfort dulls a blade. The first asks who gains and who pays, and how can we move a coin from one pocket to another. The second asks what happens to the quiet people who never post and never read. The answer is still forming, yet I know this. Opting out must be real and easy and free of stigma, or we are not free at all. I work with a clinic that helps people draft plain letters that set their sharing rules. We send those letters to schools and jobs and clubs, and we keep receipts. People report that the letters bring relief, like untying a knot behind the shoulder. The clinic also hosts small workshops on lucid practice for healing and not for show. A doctor there tells patients to let a nightmare end with a door that opens into light. The image is simple, and it travels well across languages and homes. A mother I met used the door with her child who woke crying about wolves. They practiced the door before bed, and then they watched the clip together in the morning and clapped. I carry victories like that in my lunch bag to get through the long afternoons. Dating has a new rhythm because of all this, and I want to share it because you might smile. People trade consent cards before they trade keys. A card says what you may watch from my nights and what I will watch from yours. It also says how quickly we talk about the hard clips and when we take a pause. A man I once saw wrote, "I am gentle in conversation, yet my dreams shout, and I need your patience." That line won more hearts than a perfect body, because honesty is rare even in the age of total sight. You might wonder whether crime has changed under the bright lamp of our mornings. Some crimes moved online to steal and alter dream files and sell fakes. We built systems to mark each clip with a small signature that shows origin and edits. It helps most days and fails on others, and we fix it as we go. The bigger change is that people solve disputes faster when they can check the roots. Friends who fall out can watch the week of sleep before the fight and see the stress that was already boiling. Apologies grew teeth because they came with context and a plan. Not all truth heals, of course, and I keep saying that out loud. There are couples who learn too much and cannot hold it, and they end with regret. There are parents who police their children with morning reports and turn meals into interrogations. There are schools who use dream trends to label students, and the labels stick like burrs. I argue for smaller circles in those places and for the right to erase the past after a time. We won a rule last year that lets a person purge clips from the public index after 3 years unless a court orders a hold. People cried in hearings when that rule passed because it meant they could grow. You and I grew by shedding skins, and so should our records. Now let me bring you to a single night that still echoes like a bell. A storm came in from the sea, and the grid blinked but held. The city produced a chorus of blue lights through curtains, which is a sight I hope you see one day. My neighbor who repairs bicycles fell asleep in his shop chair and dreamed of a road that ran along a ridge. The road kept lifting until it became a line across the sky. He posted the clip without checking and went back to fixing a chain in the morning. By noon, a gallery had called and asked to project the road across the museum ceiling for a month. He said yes, and we all went to see it on Saturday and lay on our backs on the floor. Children chased the moving line with fingers while their parents forgot their phones for 5 minutes. When we stepped outside, a vendor sold hot buns, and the air felt simple again. That memory reminds me that not every change needs a policy to be good. Sometimes a moment is enough to prove a system can feed the spirit. I know you worry about surveillance and spectacle, because I worry too. The answer here is not blind sharing, but honest choice and clear limits and careful repair. I wish I could sit at your table and drink the tea you like while we argue in good faith about this. I would show you the short list I keep taped inside my case folder. It says dignity, consent, context, mercy, and humor. When I hold to that list, I am less likely to hurt someone with a truth that is too sharp. Humor helps more than you would think in courts and in kitchens. A client once said my dream makes me look foolish, and I said that makes 2 of us. We both laughed, and the fear lost a bit of its size. People survive with laughter, not with graphs. I am ending my shift now, and the train is almost at my station, and the driver is humming a tune I think I heard in a dream. I will leave you with a thought that guides me when I am tired and tempted to judge. We are not our worst clip, and we are not our best clip, and we are the way we treat each other after watching both. If your world starts to capture dreams someday, begin with kindness, and the rest can be learned. Ask not whether a dream is pure, but whether your response is decent. Ask not whether a dream predicts a future, but whether it reveals a need that can be met. Ask not whether a person is guilty for a nightmare, but whether they are asking for help with a fear. I feel close to you, though I have not written your name, and I hope this letter sits with you like a friendly lamp. When you wake tomorrow, try to notice the first clean feeling that rises, and hold it for a breath. If it is soft, share it with someone who treats soft things well. If it is heavy, place it gently in your pocket, and walk to a person who knows how to carry weight. That is how our mornings work when they go right. I will send another letter when the next case sets a new line on the map of what is fair. For now, I will close the laptop and listen to the room until sleep folds over me like a coat. From your friend who lives in the world beside yours, I send care across the thin wall that separates our nights. Thank you for listening all the way to the end of my letter, and for keeping me company across the distance. If you enjoyed this story, please tap like because it helps more curious friends find us. Please subscribe to Multiverse Pen Pals so you do not miss the next letter from a nearby world. Leave a comment with your thoughts or your own dream reflections, because I read them and I learn from them. If you would like to support the channel, you can donate using the QR code on the bottom right of the video or the link in the description. In the description, you will also find links to other works from a completely different series that you might enjoy another night. Take good care until we meet again, and I hope you will join me for the next visit from the world beside yours.